Welcome to the second part of the episode 1 of Tuldukan Natin, Know the Flow with Dr. Issa.
So, paano rin pala po ma-differentiate yung normal na symptoms sa hindi? Like, meron ba po silang particular signs?
So, it's really more of yung personal experience ng babae. And they really would come naman to you once they feel na iba na yung pakiramdam nila, di ba? And yun nga, knowing what's normal in the general population really does help also. So, a lot of them do the research naman also. And yun, usually it's really more on the personal experience ng babae kung what's abnormal or not already. And again, if it disrupts your daily living, syempre, di ba? Doon ka na talaga kailangan magpa-check up.
So, yung mahalaga din talaga na na-educate din yung mga bata na
Yes.
ito yung mga symptoms, ganyan. Kasi yung iba po dati, akala ko po parang yung breast tenderness, parang ganun, parang akala mo may breast cancer ka na.
Yung pala, kakaroon ka lang.
Opo. Parang wala naman pong nagsasabi
Yes,
before sa akin, parang ganon. So, ano po ba yung mga disorders and risks ng mga nagme-menstruate?
I think I already mentioned it earlier, no? So, yung abnormal uterine bleeding nga is, yun nga, marami siyang causes. So, rundown lang ulit natin. So, yung mga polyps, adenomyosis, mga myoma or leiomyoma. So, those are all benign na mga causes and growths sa loob ng matres or ng uterus. And then, malignancy is also one of the abnormal na sakit. So, kahit yung mga ovarian cancers, yung mga endometrial cancer, cervical cancer, those can cause abnormal bleeding, right? And then we have the other part, yung mga coagulopathies, kung may sakit ka sa dugo, no? That can cause abnormal bleeding as well. If you have ovulatory problems, so part nun is yung PCOS, no? So it does cause irregular bleeding. We have endometrial causes, so usually kung may infection dun sa lining ng matres. We also have idiopathic causes of bleeding. So, kung may mga gamot na tinatake, that would cause an irregularity in the menses, then yes, that also falls under AUB. And kung hindi pa specified, so yung mga uterine malformations, yung mga AV malformations, that falls under that. So, yun yung mga spectrum. Ang dami nila, di ba? So, you really have to evaluate. You really have to evaluate yung patient mo na maigi talaga when they come into the clinic. Kasi, ayun, it's not just a one specific thing minsan.
So, dapat lahat ng symptoms sinitake down ng mga girls, kung ano ba yung feeling nila kakaiba. Gano'n.
Yes, oo.
Para na pinpoint agad, hindi yung parang naghuhulaan pa. Hindi ko po alam. So, yun. Ano po pala yung PCOS na na-mention?
Yes, oo. So, PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it is very common actually dito sa Philippines, no? So, polycystic ovarian syndrome, I'm pretty sure it's good for another topic kasi again, buong araw na lang tayo mag-usap. Pero, it has 3 main symptoms kasi, no? So, 3 criteria or the Rotterdam criteria. First one is yung amenorrhea or yung irregularity in menses or oligomenorrhea. So, yun. Kung irregular yung menses or kung hindi ka ng mens, that's one symptom. Number 2 is yung hyperandrogenism. So, ito yung pagmataas yung androgens mo sa katawan, which causes yung symptoms like acne, nagkakaroon ng hair sa may upper lip, sa may pusod, sa may legs and arms, yung parang balbon talaga. Number 3, yung parang hair fall. Yun, those are under hyperandrogenism naman. And then, number 3, dun sa symptoms ng PCOS is yung polycystic ovarian morphology on the ultrasound. So, pag pina-ultrasound mo yung patient mo, makikita mo na may mga cysts siya na maliliit na follicular cysts dun sa ovaries nila, which is what which is one of the criteria ng PCOS. So, 3 sila and you only need 2 to be diagnosed with PCOS.
Tinatagal po ba yung nakikita?
No. It's just, tawag na to. para lang siyang sign na mataas yung or parang abnormality dun sa hormones na nagde-develop yung maraming follicles pero walang egg na napaproduce kasi nga walang nagiging dominant follicle. So, nagkakaroon lang siya ng parang maliliit na parang sonologic na findings on ultrasound.
Ibig
So,
sabihin,
hindi siya totoong cyst talaga.
ibig sabihin po ba nun parang they're going to have a hard time sa pregnancy or movement
Yes, it's
days?
one of the symptoms, no? Yung parang nagkakaroon ka ng infertility kasi yun nga, walang ovulation na nangyayari kasi lahat lang ng follicles mo ay nasi-stimulate pero walang nagiging dominant and nagpa-produce ng egg cell which is yun nga, yung sa ovulation.
Genetic po ba yung PCOS or due to lifestyle siya, gano'n?
Actually, largely due to lifestyle, no? So, yung diet and lifestyle talaga natin mga Filipinos it's not healthy. Mahilig tayo sa fast food, mahilig tayo sa red meat, mahilig tayo sa mga inflammatory food like fried food. It's really difficult kasi one of the first line management talaga is diet and exercise. And I'm sure nahihirapan yung mga marami with the diet pa lang kasi nga yung mga pa lang natin dito, 'di ba? Yung mga viands natin, 'di ba? Ulam is like largely composed of like fried food and then oily na food as well. At saka yun, red meat. Yun. So, and yung lifestyle talaga natin, minsan it's not as active talaga compared to, alam mo yun, wala naman tayong masyadong walking dito. So, we don't even have like public parks then for us to enjoy. So, medyo nalilimit tayo when it comes to that as well.
Tapos yung iba work from home pa.
Oo, diba?
Magsa-skyrocket niyan.
Yes, oo.
Ano po pala yung tawag dito? So, dahil po based sa lifestyle yung PCOS, possible din po siya na, kunyari, mid-20s, gano'n. Doon pa lang po siya makukuha, no?
Yeah, dun sa mid-20s, yes, dun na nagkakaroon ng check-ups yung mga kabataan kasi dun na nila nare-realize na irregular pala, especially when they compare it to their peers. Tapos, syempre, dun na nagkakaroon ng parang mas independent na sila from their parents. Diba? So, I think it's more of dahil nga hindi na pag-uusapan kung ano yung normal and what's not normal. So, kaya mas minsan may delay pa in consulting. Kaya mas later natin sila nade-discover in our 20s.
Yung iba din kasi parang hindi na nila tinatrack. Parang basta kung kailan na lang magkakaroon yan. Parang gano'n. Tapos, usually, syempre, parang kung nag-start siya sa'yo as bata, parang naging habit mo na siya, tapos yun na yung naging normal sa'yo na hindi mo tinatrack.
Yes.
Tapos, parang late mo marirealize na, ay, may irregular, ano pala, gano'n. Tapos parang, need mo pala siya ipa-check, ganyan. Pag after, ayun nga, sabi ni Doc na after 3 years, hindi pa rin regular yung menstruation mo. Kailangan mo na rin siya check up.
Kasi usually yung sa school lang din, parang ang lagi lang tinuturo is like, yung anatomy of it, ano yung mga phases, gano'n. Parang ano siya, kumbaga ba, parang para sa isang student, ano siya, kulang ng details when it comes to ano ba, kung ano yung dapat nilang gawin, kung ano hindi, ano ba yung dapat nilang alahanin pag nagkakaroon ng gandong experience or nangyayaring gandong
Kasi nga parang minsan na na-awkward din po yung mga teacher.
Yeah.
Kasi parang may boys sa room, tapos parang andyan yung mga asaran, tapos yung girls parang nasa time na, ng age na medyo mahiyain.
Yeah,
Ganon.
diba? So, kailangan talaga at a very early age, talagang na-educate na both males and females about it, diba? Hindi porket lalaki ka, hindi mo na kailangan matutunan to. Diba dapat hindi? Dapat lahat talaga tayo aware about it, na normal siya.
So, ayun. Bakit, nakakita po namin na may TikTok account po kayo.
Oo nga, wala po.
Bakit niyo po pala sinimulan yung TikTok?
Meron ba po kayong po doon, like, specific na motive or parang ano lang ba po, ano ba siya, parang somewhat tulong sa ibang sa ibang tao.
Yeah, so actually, I started OB-GYNE on call kasi syempre I wanted to generate more content about these taboo topics. Taboo, na dapat nga normal. Yeah, so yun, I wanted to normalize some of these topics kasi nga I heard na TikTok had a very wide reach din nowadays. So, sabi ng boyfriend ko, sige, startan mo na yan. Actually, he was the one who got me into it na parang, yeah, why don't you start making content about it? And you're an OB-GYNE, so you're very well learned about it naman, diba? So, that's how I got to starting it. Then, ayun, nag-click naman yung content sa mga tao. And yun, I talk about general OB-GYNE, reproductive health, and sexual health. So, yung mga more taboo topics then I get in touch with those things kasi nga, I want to help normalize it to a lot of my audience talaga.
Maganda rin yan kasi parang yung iba na siya shy magpa-check up. Kasi nga ayun ako, parang isipin nila lagi na parang buntis ka ba kaya ka nagpa.
Yes, diba? So, wala na stigma pag pupunta ng ano. And actually, yung telehealth service natin in the Philippines improved talaga from the pandemic, no? So, at least we're able to get these women to approach us more kasi nga may parang medyo mas discreet daw kasi pag telehealth, no? Or, diba, bago sila pumunta in the clinic, at least may parang alam na nila kung anong expect nila with the doctor, with the situation sa clinic as well, what's gonna happen. So, at least meron na tayong ganitong klaseng technology here in the Philippines.
Minsan din po kasi parang kunyari, di ba po sa clinic po may parang lobby, may waiting area. Tapos parang minsan kunyari doon po yung mga buntis na babae. Tapos parang pag pumasok ka po as teenager, ganyan, or parang medyo bata-bata ka pa.
Parang minsan
dito
siya.
Tapos parang parang minsan, hindi niyo siguro inaalagaan niyo. Parang gano'n.
Yeah.
So parang siguro dun yung iba, nga, mas okay sa kanila yung discreet kasi yun nga, less judgment sa mga mga taong nakakahalubilan nila dun sa clinic. Kaya, ganda rin yung mga recent na innovations ay may TikTok nga, tapos yung telemed, mga teleconsultation, tapos, ayun, parang nag-wide din yung reach ni Doc since
Yes, I hope you guys follow me.
Yes.
Yeah, and hopefully I get to generate more content din na parang syempre mas ma-engage din yung mga females and women out there who are wanting to get checked for their whatever condition that they have.
Curious lang din pala po, masingit ko lang. May instances ba po na parang para sa sender ng message, siya, parang medyo sensitive topic, like nagkakaroon ba po kayo ng parang ganung instances na parang makaka-receive kayo ng medyo sensitive na topic dahil parang parang nakita nila kayo as parang source of information or parang sakaling makakatulong sa kanila?
Yes, I do receive yung mga intimate details about encounters, yung mga ganon. And actually, dun ko din mas na-realize na parang ang daming misinformation about sex, diba? Or about yung menses. Usually kasi talaga I deal with yung mga, Doc, mabubuntis ba ako pag ginawa namin to? And it's, diba? No. Or, yeah, you'll definitely. Diba? Parang, may mga ganun na mga messages or minsan yung mga, Doc, irregular na po ba to? Again, wala tayong sense of what's normal and what's not kasi nga hindi tinuturo sa atin. So, yes, I do get some of those messages and ayun, a lot of them, syempre, I tell them na, okay, please seek consult kasi it's really the proper channel to do it. I can't answer you outright kung tama yan or kung ano ba yung condition mo if I don't get to evaluate you properly.
Minsan kasi yung iba parang specific na yung question na parang para sa kanya talaga ganun. Parang customized na yung question na parang I think dapat sa clinic na parang ganun. Pero ayun, parang minsan din maganda nakita sa TikTok kasi parang yung ibang doctors din sa TikTok na parang, yung if suppose, Dr. Kilimon, guru ba yan?
Yes.
Yeah, parang dami rin na-spread na information.
Yeah, it's very helpful, no?
Dumadami
TikTok.
po yung doctor sa,
Yeah,
sa
oo.
TikTok. Tapos parang minsan, ay, ganun pala yun. So parang, parang maganda rin yung advocacy.
Advocacy.
Yun, na,
Tsaka
ayun nga
parang
po, nag-start.
nafe-feel niya rin yung gap
Opo.
na
Yeah.
naiwan sa mga viewers or
Yes.
kung sino mang audience.
Kasi yung ibang TikTok users din is mga bata. So, ayun, parang, syempre, iba din naman talaga, ayun nga, nasasabihan. So, okay, parang minsan yung iba parang, pag nanggaling sa adult, like, sa relative, parang, ano ba yan? Ano na naman ako? Sasabihan na naman ako, ganyan. Pero pag galing na sa doctor, alam mo na. Parang sabi na, parang gano'n. Minsan din kasi parang, admittedly, as a child, parang gano'n, nung bata ako, na parang, pag parents yung nagsabi, or parang mga lola, ganyan, tita, parang, parang ano naman ngayon kung gawin ko to, parang wala namang masamang mangyayari. Tapos pag naipon na siya, ganyan, may masama nang nangyari. Tapos dinala ka na sa doktor. Ayan na, maniniwala ka na, doktor na nagsabi.
Yeah,
So, yan.
Well, since na-cover na rin natin basics of menstruation, and how about ngayon na let's move naman to sa Q&A, no? Ayun.
So, ayan, for our first question, what if anemic daw yung person na may period and then low blood pa? What can I do para hindi ako mahirapan? And I have a low pain tolerance, heavy flows. I don't prefer to take medication all the time, sana asthma.
Dami niyang concerns. Okay, so again, we have to define first what anemic means kasi sometimes you just throw it around na anemic kasi ako, ganun. Pero when you have anemia, that means you have low hemoglobin, no? So dapat complete blood count ka or yung nagpa-CBC ka to know if you have anemia or not. So doon mo pala malalaman if low blood ka or may anemia ka. Okay? So, if you are, sa tingin mo, if you have it, kunyari parang maputla ka, or if sa tingin mo talaga ang dami ng blood flow mo, then you really have to take your multivitamins, ferrous sulfate in particular. Dapat may iron yung supplements mo so that so that your menses are supported, no, every month. So you have to take those. And then if you have low pain tolerance, heavy flow, na sa tingin mo hindi na normal, again, then that's the time that you really have to seek checkup. And if you don't prefer to take medications, well, kailangan ma-advise ng maayos, no, para wala kasi minsan it really has to be managed with pharmacologic means. So, if sa tingin niya na may problema talaga, then I'm sure naman na some medications can help.
Then for question number 2 po, do you think it's okay to be absent from school or work when you have a dysmenorrhea?
Again, if it is already disrupting your daily life, then yes, you really have to inform yung mga superiors mo about it. And it should be actually under yung sick leave. Kasi nga, pag hindi siya normal, syempre, and if it's already disrupting your daily life, then I feel like dapat masolusyonan to medically. And yun nga, it's time to really see an OB-GYNE and get worked up about it. I'm pretty sure it's already a hot topic kasi nga due to the menstrual leave bill, and of course I support naman kasi may mga women talaga, may females, may menstruators who are really experiencing really bad dysmenorrhea, and I feel like syempre it's specific to those kinds of women din naman, or females who have that kind of who experience that kind of pain, and dapat we should take it into consideration as well.
So, question number 3 is it alright to self-stimulate or have intercourse even if you have PCOS?
Super specific na if you have PCOS. Yes, of course. It's no problem. It won't cause any, it's another myth that you have to debunk. It won't cause any hormonal imbalance. It's just stimulation lang naman talaga. So, self-play is not bawal. It's not contraindicated in those who have PCOS. And actually, even like diba, if you have your menses, it's actually still okay to do it. If you do want to have sex, it's fine. It's not a bad thing. It won't cause any infections. Syempre, mas messy lang siya down there, no?
And for our next question, may do's and don'ts po ba sa PCOS?
Do change your diet and lifestyle. That's the main that's the main that's the main management talaga for PCOS. So change your diet, change your lifestyle, be committed to doing it kasi different people have different kinds of diet and lifestyle. So depende talaga sa'yo personally kung paano mo siya babaguhin. Kahit magbigay ako ng diet prescription or like exercise plan, if you're not able to adhere to it, if you're not committed to doing it, or if hindi kaya ng lifestyle mo talaga na ganon, so it really has to be on your own terms, no? Do other do's and don'ts. Ayun. So don't eat red meat, don't have a lot of inflammatory foods na kailangan mong kainin. And then go to your OB-GYNE to be guided as to your condition. And don't be afraid to ask questions about yung management mo.
So, how can I tell if it's spotting or just light menstruation?
Spotting can occur at any time of the cycle, and that's abnormal. So, again, if you experience spotting at any time of the cycle na hindi siya mens dun sa day 1 na usual menses mo, then yes, you have to seek consult. First thing that yung mga people, women of reproductive age, females of reproductive age, first thing that you should do is take a pregnancy test kung may spotting. Or, yun. Light menstruation, usually, syempre, doon na siya sa may first day of the cycle, naging light, and then heavier as the menstruation progresses. So, yes. Halos same naman din. I mean, di ba, parang yung itsura niya, spotting, light menstruation, it could start as spotting din talaga.
So that ends our Q&A session. Thank you for answering all our questions, Doc Issa. So, ayan.
Dami ko rin natutunan.
Oo nga
Like
po
yun nga rin. Yung parang mga gaps sa knowledge din. Like, as a male, kasi we don't experience those things. So parang yung iba sa amin parang hindi quite familiar sa mga tinadaan ng babae or like na-experience sila from menstruation. Kaya ayun. Parang it's a good thing din para sa amin na aware kami para mawala rin yung yung mga stereotypes and myths and misconceptions.
Yes.
Sobrang insightful nung syempre yung mga sinabi nyo, ganyan.
It's a good thing din para sa amin na aware kami para mawala rin yung yung mga
sana marami rin natutunan yung ating listeners.
Yeah. Pero this is just the beginning di ba? Episode 1 pa lang naman to Marami pa silang abangan para sa mga susunod namin. So ayun po, thank you Dr. Issa for joining us in this episode. Anything you want to say ba po or plug or pwede rin shout out? Kung ano ba?
Okay, so thank you so much for having me today. I'd like to promote my TikTok. Please follow me on obgyneoncall.ph. So I'm available on TikTok and Instagram. Please, wala akong mga Facebook pages yet. So don't follow those fake pages na nandun. Yun. So we have Instagram and TikTok. I hope you continue to support me there. Thank you so much.
So, ayun, syempre, meron din kaming Facebook page, Soren Productions. So, follow nyo rin kami doon and actually like. So, ayun, marami rin kayong makikita doon and matututunan. So, ayun, kaya kahit we want to talk more and know more, we have to end it here. So, again, I'm Janelle Velasquez.
And I'm Reizar Costan.
And we have...
Hi, I'm Dr. Issa, your OB-GYNE on call.
Again, this is Tuldukan Natin.
Know the Flow with Doc Issa. See you in our next episode. Woo!
Bye-bye.